Good evening, I'm Ian Hannamansing. Tonight, the developing story of a 4-year-old Canadian girl who has escaped a Syrian detention camp. Much of her young life spent inside this camp. Tonight, what CBC News has learned about the efforts to get her out and bring her here. Also tonight, 3 million shots down, millions more to go.
I did try calling, but there's such a long wait.
Across the country, new booking systems go online this week. Will they work? Plus, getting the most vulnerable to the vaccination clinic.
You ready to go?
Yeah,
Let's go.
thank you.
Very good. Follow me, please.
Fury in the UK after police break up a vigil. Remembering a woman allegedly murdered by a police officer. And reflections from the doctor who went from little-known public servant to household name.
It seems so much like a completely different world now.
Dr. Bonnie Henry reflects on those first anxious days and a year later coping with pandemic fatigue. This is The National. The civil war in Syria has raged for 10 years, killing hundreds of thousands, displacing millions, and leading to wider violence, including the rise of ISIS. Tonight, CBC News has learned that a young girl born of that conflict is coming to Canada. She is 4 years old. Her mother, a Canadian, housed in a detention camp for families of ISIS fighters. This is only the second time a child in these circumstances has been brought to Canada, but there are thought to be dozens more, most at Raj camp in the northeastern corner of Syria. And the fact that they've languished there in wretched conditions for years has prompted human rights groups to criticize Canada. Margaret Evans is in the region and breaks the story for us tonight. Margaret?
Ian, we can confirm tonight that a 4-year-old girl, the daughter of a Canadian woman held in an ISIS detention camp in northeastern Syria, is on her way to Canada with a relative if she's not already there. We understand that she came out of the camp on Friday with an aunt who was helped by the former U.S. diplomat Peter Galbraith, who helped them across the border from northern Syria into Iraq and here in Erbil, where they did receive help from the Canadian Consular Services in getting documentation so that the child could travel. Galbraith told CBC News that the mother actually reached out to him directly about 2 months ago, and he called it a selfless act, a decision to try to offer her daughter a better future. This is only the second Canadian child of parents believed to be affiliated with ISIS that we know of that's been brought to Canada. There are tens of thousands of foreign ISIS fighters and their families being held in squalid Syrian camps, more than 40 Canadians among them, including at least 24 children. Canada's been criticized for failing to do more to help the children in particular, and for leaving the Syrian Kurds to deal with prosecuting foreign ISIS militants. Tomorrow marks the 10-year anniversary of the start of the civil war in Syria, that conflict giving ISIS a foothold in both Iraq and Syria. It was the mainly Kurdish Syrian Democratic Forces who were key in defeating ISIS, but they find themselves now with little help in dealing with the militants left behind or their families. Ian.
Margaret Evans in Erbil, Iraq, tonight. Margaret and her team will have more stories from the region in the coming weeks right here on The National. Here at home, Canada reached a COVID-19 vaccine milestone today. More than 3 million doses have now been administered countrywide. And vaccine access is opening wider too. In some areas, age limits are lowering. In others, pharmacies are now playing a part. And today, Ontario announced its province-wide booking system will open in the morning. Whether online or by phone, those booking systems are key to this vaccine rollout. But as Briar Stewart explains, no matter where you are in the country, keeping up with demand is proving to be a challenge.
For nearly a week, many who've come to this Gurdwara to pray have also been able to get help booking their COVID vaccine. Neeraj Walia has booked over 30 so far.
And luckily we are in the Fraser Health region, and it's pretty easy with the online system instead of long waiting with the phones.
When BC opened up vaccine appointments last week, call centers were flooded. Fraser Health is the only area in the province where it's possible to book online.
I did try calling, but there's such a long wait. You're on hold or the phone's busy, so we just went online. It was quite easy.
Officials say extra staff have been hired to work call centres and that a province-wide online portal will be up and running sooner than expected. Previously, officials had said it would be ready April 12th.
We're ahead of schedule now, and our full online system will come up when we get to the 75 to 79-year-old category in a week or so.
Some provinces like Quebec and Alberta already have online booking systems, and Ontario's is being launched tomorrow.
The portal will be live on Monday, March the 15th at 8 a.m.
Like elsewhere, the question will be just how will the site manage all the demand?
These booking sites have been having challenges.
Dr. Kumanen Wilson is CEO of Can Immunize, which helped build Nova Scotia's system. It too crashed early on.
Part of the problem has been not anticipating the full level of demand. So while only 20,000 or 50,000 people may be eligible, many, many more are trying to log in.
Back in Surrey, Walya hasn't had problems snagging appointments yet.
Wednesday, March 24th at 2:15 p.m.
But he knows once the province opens bookings to people under the age of 80, the demand is going to be even greater.
So, Briar, with such a small segment of the population actually eligible for vaccines right now, why are the booking systems seeing so much traffic?
Well, Ian, as you heard there from Dr. Wilson, whom I spoke with for that news piece, he talked about just so many people logging in at once. And he said what a lot of regions are seeing is several family members log on to try to snag an appointment for one relative. And all of those people logging on really can overwhelm the system. Now, as for BC's online portal, which is going to launch in the coming days, we know it's being tested right now. Officials say it will be very comprehensive. One had even called it a legacy project. And it's not only going to just allow people to log on and book their COVID vaccines, but it's going to track every vaccine program in the province to make it easier to figure out when people have been immunized and what they received.
Thanks, Briar.
You're welcome.
As we mentioned, more than 3 million COVID-19 vaccines have now been administered in Canada, but many millions more to go. Province by province, the percentage of people who have now had at least one dose ranges from just over 3% in Nova Scotia to more than 8% in Quebec. And in the territories, the numbers are much higher. About 26% of people have had the shot in Nunavut, 38% in the Northwest Territories, and 43% in Yukon. It's important that those in the greatest need get the shot if they're eligible, but it's not always easy. Talia Ricci with the challenges some seniors are facing and those stepping up to help.
Okay, are you ready to go?
Yeah,
Let's go.
thank you.
89-year-old Joseph Sang and his volunteer driver are on the way to get his first COVID-19 vaccine.
Thank you. Welcome.
Pink Cars provide seniors in Ontario's York region with free rides to and from their appointments. The volunteers also help them navigate the online booking process.
The day it launched on the 1st of March, I think we had about 200 emails come flooding in and about double that in phone calls. So yes, the help needed is overwhelming.
Shanta Sundaresan says they're trying to fill a gap, helping seniors who may not have family around. But some say there's another group too that needs extra help, those who can't leave home at all.
He can't get out of bed, so we would have to get a lift. We would have to hire an ambulance. He'd have to be brought on a gurney.
Leonora Scarpino Inglese is hoping for a home visit to vaccinate her 90-year-old father.
February 3rd, we lost my mom. I don't want to lose my dad, right? Especially not to COVID.
We simply also haven't vaccinated enough of those older adults, particularly our very elderly who live in the community. And that's where I think I'm quite concerned as we stare down this third wave.
Dr. Nathan Stahl, who sits on the province's COVID-19 Science Advisory Table, wants to see more mobile options. Paramedics in Windsor, Ontario are already on it. Last week, they went door to door in an apartment building offering a first dose to people who were 80 and older.
They were excited that and honored that we came to them, opposed to them having to find their way around.
For Joseph Sang, the process was smooth with the help of his driver.
How do you feel?
I feel very good. No problem.
Something many others are hoping to feel soon too. Talia Ricci, CBC News, Toronto.
Today, Ireland and the Netherlands join the list of countries suspending use of the AstraZeneca COVID vaccine for now. This move comes after reports of serious blood clots in a handful of people who got the shot in Norway and Denmark. Both of those countries, as well as Iceland, have also suspended use of the vaccine. In a statement today, AstraZeneca said it's found no evidence of increased risk in the 17 million people who have received its shot. But while the vaccine rollout ramps up across Canada, COVID cases are on the rise again, and Canada's Chief Public Health Officer raised two issues today. In a statement, she said cases linked to variants of concern continue to grow, and she made reference to the high infection rate among Canadian adults under the age of 40. One of two deaths reported today in Saskatchewan was a person in their 20s. A rise in cases is what mayors of American sun destinations are fearing tonight. Travelers across the country are flocking to airports to enjoy spring break, setting pandemic travel records. As Katie Simpson shows us, many are hoping vaccine rates will soon be enough to stop a post-party spike.
Spring break in Texas looks a lot like the before times. With statewide COVID restrictions rolled back, partiers enjoyed the weather and the company of friends.
I think it's safe. I think everybody's having a good time, and we're outside. I don't think anybody's too close or anything.
Florida's beaches are busy too. It's another sign some Americans are now comfortable traveling in the pandemic. According to the TSA, more than 1.3 million people traveled through U.S. airports on Friday, a number higher than any day during either the Thanksgiving or Christmas holiday seasons. And over the past week, there have been more than 1 million travelers per day on 5 of the last 7 days.
I do feel safe because a lot of people have had their shots, and the people that have not probably won't be out here, and if they have their mask on.
The increase in travel comes as vaccinations ramp up. More than 21% of Americans have had at least one shot, while 11% of the population is fully vaccinated. And while new COVID cases have dropped dramatically in the U.S., it's not enough, according to the experts.
Even though the numbers have gone down, over the last couple of weeks they've plateaued. And when you see a plateau at a level as high as 60,000 cases a day, that is a very vulnerable time to have a surge to go back up.
Local leaders in some of these hotspots are now pleading with vacationers to behave responsibly.
I'll be blunt. I know I'm the mayor of a hospitality town. We're trying to survive this. We also worry that this community will become a super spreader for other communities.
There's been a COVID surge after every major holiday in the U.S. since the pandemic began. What might be different this time is whether the level of vaccination is enough to stave off a repeat. Katie Simpson, CBC News, Washington.
A woman who rose to great heights in Canada's military spoke out today on the issue of sexual misconduct in the armed forces. That wasn't the only surprise when retired Lieutenant General Christine Whitecross gave an exclusive interview to CBC News. Ashley Burke has that.
Lieutenant General Christine Whitecross.
She was the military's top female officer, head of a special team to deal with sexual misconduct in the ranks. Now retired Lieutenant General Christine Whitecross says she was surprised by allegations against her former colleagues and bosses.
Shock, anger, and counterintuitively, I was happy as well because then that meant people came forward, which had been a huge stumbling block.
Whitecross spoke exclusively to Rosemary Barton Live. For the first time, she publicly acknowledged she was in the running to replace General Jonathan Vance as Chief of Defense Staff.
And I went through the process, and I like to think that I made it toward the end.
But in the end, the Trudeau government chose Admiral Art MacDonald. He's now on leave, facing his own investigation over allegations of sexual misconduct. The Prime Minister's office today said it wouldn't comment on candidate selection. But this former soldier says Whitecross could have started to end a cycle of abuse in the military.
I think that the military wouldn't be going through the embarrassing situation that it is currently.
Former Master Corporal Sherry Bordage says in 2010 she was groped by her supervisor at CFB Borden. She reported it and says in return she faced retaliation, was removed from her position as an instructor, and in 2014 left altogether.
Silence encourages a tormentor.
This week, she posted a video online about her experience to push for change.
I've had students who've been subjected to this type of behavior, and I was powerless to help them, I couldn't even help myself.
The Department of National Defense repeated today that there is no place for any misconduct in the military and said that Bordage's video has been reported to the appropriate authorities to follow up. As for Whitecross, she maintains that the military is a great career and is encouraging people to report their cases, calling this a watershed opportunity. Ashley Burke, CBC News, Ottawa.
There were mass protests again in London today after demonstrators clashed with police earlier this weekend. The issue, violence against women. The spark was the murder of London resident Sarah Everard. The suspect charged a police officer. But it's drawn attention across the UK and beyond to the violence faced by women in their daily lives. And as Renee Filipponi shows us, there is fury now at the police response.
It's these scenes of police clashing with women at a vigil that have sparked outrage. The image of a woman protesting violence being dragged away in handcuffs has led to widespread criticism of the force. 3 others were also arrested.
Shame on you!
More than 1,000 people gathered at a park close to where Sarah Everard was last seen, despite the police banning a planned event because of COVID restrictions.
Unfortunately, later on, we had a really big crowd that gathered, lots of speeches, and quite rightly, as far as I can see, my team felt this is now an unlawful gathering, which poses a considerable risk to people's health.
Today, there was another protest outside police headquarters, many calling for the police commissioner, the first woman to hold the job, to resign. She is refusing to.
There are a million ways that could have been organised, but the police put their foot down before they put their boot in, and at every stage they made the wrong call.
The Mayor of London wants an independent investigation. Sarah Everard disappeared, walking home from a friend's house on March 3rd. Police officer Wayne Cousins has been charged with kidnapping and murder. At the growing memorial today, grief was mixed with anger.
They think that they have the right to dictate how we mourn and how we react.
Some of the women shared their own stories and daily concern for safety.
It could have been me, or it could have been my friends, or it could have been my loved ones so easily. And just to carry that fear around with you every day, it just weighs you down.
And that's what many see in the image of Everard, a 33-year-old marketing executive killed just walking home. Renee Filipponi, CBC News, London.
This has been one of the deadliest days in Myanmar for people resisting the military coup. Reports vary greatly, but at least 14 protesters were shot dead by security forces in various cities. The coup initiated last month when soldiers arrested elected leaders. Members of the ousted government urged people this weekend to stand fast against the takeover, which has already claimed 80 lives. The family of a 91-year-old woman is going public tonight after Rogers charged her extra fees for not returning equipment because her long-term care home was under lockdown. Here's Rosa Marcatelli.
Lori Davis wasn't able to hold her mom's hand for a long time.
I'm right beside you, Mom.
Joan Davis's long-term care home was locked down for months. Joan herself had COVID, making it impossible for the family to enter her room and return phone and internet equipment belonging to Rogers after canceling those services. They kept basic cable, so Joan would have something to pass the time. But despite not being able to access the equipment for the canceled services because of the pandemic, Rogers still charged the 91-year-old more than $560 in penalties.
I think the outrageous part is that there is no room for kindness, consideration, and some compassion.
She says Rogers made things even worse when it cut off her mom's cable service for not paying the unrelated equipment fees, leaving the senior with no ties to the outside world.
It's so difficult not having the TV.
I feel they're screwing over the little guy.
Ben Wilkinson has a similar beef with Bell. He and his brother are losing their live music business because of COVID. They told Bell why they had to cancel their services and asked if it would waive the $580 cancellation fee.
They said as a matter of course, currently they are not doing anything for any customers of theirs that had to close or change their business plans due to the pandemic.
This business ethics expert calls it a missed opportunity.
It's pretty hard to overstate the exceptionality of COVID, on everyone. And so I think it is a time when businesses have an opportunity to say, what can we reasonably do for customers, and particularly vulnerable customers?
After hearing from Go Public, both Rogers and Bell said they'd reach out to their customers. Bell says it has stepped up during the pandemic, waiving charges and providing free services, but couldn't say how often it's done that or the amount of charges that were waived. Rogers did step up for the Davis family. It apologized, reversed the charges, reinstated the cable, and said it would review its policies. Policy changes is what Lori Davis wants to see. Rosa Marcatelli, CBC News, Go Public.
Don't forget, if you have a tip for the Go Public team to investigate, you can send an email to gopublic@cbc.ca. The pandemic pushed public health officials like Dr. Bonnie Henry into the spotlight. That attention brought adoration, but also death threats.
It does wear on you, and it's, I'm looking forward to blissful anonymity again at some point.
Coming up, my conversation with Dr. Henry as she reflects on a year fighting the virus. Plus,
I would not have started this if it wasn't for this pandemic.
Whether it's a new business, new hobby, or new outlook on life, Canadians tell us how their life took a dramatic turn. Plus, the pandemic soundtrack. Yo-Yo Ma captures the mood of the moment. Stay with us. Lockdown seemed to be a distant memory for most of China, so too it seems is COVID. And interestingly, despite having plenty of vaccine to go around, as Sasha Petrusik shows us, not many are signing up for the shot.
It's pollution, not pandemic, that fills the streets of Beijing these days. Chinese lives are back to near normal. COVID is a hazy, fading fear. Things are good, she says. And with only a handful of infections in the whole country lately, mostly blamed on arrivals from abroad, there's no rush for vaccination. I don't think it's very important to get vaccinated in China, he says. That's one reason why this place, which was among the first to declare the battle against COVID won, is now well back in the effort to deliver the needle. Only 4 out of 100 in China have been given a dose, behind Canada with about 7%, and well behind the US with almost 30%. There's no shortage of vaccines. China's developed and approved 4 different domestic kinds. Some of China's top health officials have been pushing for more vaccination.
Both China and the United States, we, as the major vaccine producers in the world, we have the responsibility to implement our own strategies to vaccine the mass immunizations.
Instead, millions of these doses are now being donated all over the world to more than 60 other countries, prompting accusations that Beijing is trying to buy influence. China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi says it actually shows Beijing's commitment to global public good. China rejects vaccine nationalism by other nations, he says, accusing them of hoarding vaccines, something Beijing calls a worse kind of politicization than China's approach. Sasha Petrusik, CBC News, Toronto.
Coming up, as vaccinations ramp up across Canada, variant concerns remain.
We need to find ways for people to safely be able to come together after so long.
Dr. Bonnie Henry on staying positive despite a sometimes rocky vaccine rollout and the lessons learned after a year of COVID pressures. Stay with us. The past year has made public health personal. Officials in that field shaping the way so many of us live. Now we're learning what that response has been like behind the scenes and the impact of suddenly becoming public figures.
There's been a number of testing being done on people with symptoms.
You likely know that's British Columbia's Dr. Bonnie Henry.
If we went too late and didn't protect people, we would never be able to recover from that.
She was on the National 1 year ago and later revealed she hadn't slept the night before, thinking about what action BC needed to take. A new book co-written with her sister, the proceeds going to charity, gives a behind-the-scenes look at what was happening in those critical first few weeks of the pandemic. Dr. Henry, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
A lot of us are reflecting on what was happening exactly 1 year ago right now. And I mean, for you, you were in the middle of the beginning, I guess, of the storm. As you think back a year ago, what comes to mind?
Oh, just thinking back about it, it seems so much like a completely different world now. And the length of this storm has really been remarkable, I think, for all of us. And when I was thinking back and the stress and the anxiety and the doing things that we had never done before, it really reminds me of how challenging that whole time was.
A lot of us are suffering COVID fatigue. A lot of people are trying to, have become armchair epidemiologists and, trying to figure out if things have been done rightly or wrongly. A lot of people comparing each province to another or this country to others. What advice do you have for us in terms of coping with this pandemic, which, vaccines aside, is continuing?
I think we need to recognize that we are all in a very complicated, large geographic country that has many different populations. The demographics are different. So slightly different ways of doing things is not necessarily a bad thing. It helps us learn as well about what may be the best way to do things. And, the negativity and the comparing, I think we just all need to let that go. At the base of it, we're all doing the very similar things in slightly different ways and modified to our own environment. But the one thing that I'm really somewhat frustrated about is the negativity around immunization. And I don't know how that happened. It is such an amazing thing. And we are all working together across the country. Public health workers, take it out of the political realm. The health workers, the National Operations Center, we are trying to get vaccine out, and we're doing it amazingly well to protect people across the country in the winter, in this vast geography, in many different places. It just warms my heart when I see vaccine arriving in the Howsit, which is a fly-in community in the north. And people being immunized and protected. And I think we need to celebrate that this is a really positive thing, and it is going to get to everybody.
I want to ask you a question that I think probably will reflect to an extent the experiences of your fellow public health officers right across the country. You as a group went from being, virtually anonymous probably 14 or 15 months ago to becoming not just household names and faces, but people who have made decisions that have had a very direct impact on all of our lives, every single one of our lives. And with that has come a lot of public support and a lot of public criticism, some of it nasty. So as you know, I talked to your sister, Lynn, the co-author of this book, and I asked her if she is concerned for you, given that public profile and especially the nasty criticism. I want to play you what she said in that interview.
Even at the very beginning, there were, there were threats. And when she and I got together in early August to, hash out the book, I went back to BC, and I noticed a huge difference just between April and August in terms of both the public recognition that she had, like she just wasn't able to even walk outside her door anymore without being recognized, but also the level of both love on the one hand, but also, criticism and some of it that had a very dark edge and that had turned into threats. And so, yes, I worry about her.
Dr. Henry, as you listen to your sister, and especially as you hear that description of the good and bad part of this public profile, what's your reaction?
Oh, I worry that my sisters worry, and my mom, my dad. It's one thing that we do have together is my counterparts across the country. We get together regularly. We support each other, I've said this before, you're never alone in public health. And that is one of the important things that helps us get through this type of thing. And I wear that burden of responsibility very seriously and heavily. And sometimes it takes that toll on you. And I just am heartened because so much of the outpouring that I get is positive, and people are very supportive and very, they understand that there's a lot of decisions that are very challenging and difficult to make, and we are doing our best. And the goal that we have that is in common is to protect as many people as possible. But it does wear on you, and it's, I'm looking forward to blissful anonymity again at some point.
If there were to be a chapter of your book written right now, the name of it might be Vaccines and Variants. And you've talked about the good part of the vaccines, the optimism that it brings you. But the variants scare a lot of people. We see these projections and we worry about this. I know you want to project optimism, you want to project hope, but how concerned are you right now given the state of the variants?
Yeah, so I've been calling it our time of vaccine hope and pandemic pragmatic reality. And yes, we are concerned about the variants. I extended the orders here in BC because we didn't have an understanding of where we were seeing them, how many. We now are screening all positive tests, and yes, we're seeing increases in the variants. But we also know from looking around the world that the UK is the perfect example, and many other countries, that the same things that we do to prevent transmission work against these variants too. And it is in some ways a bit of a race, keeping it low enough that we are keeping people out of hospital as we're immunizing, especially those who are most at risk. So that's where we need to get to. And we need to find ways for people to safely be able to come together after so long. So focusing on, going outdoors, knowing the scenarios that are safer. And we're trying to get us through the next few weeks with that as more people are immunized. And we also know that there's a bit of seasonality to this virus. So trying to get us to that period where the transmissibility, even with the variants, will go down a little bit. So it's a very most challenging place to be in yet again.
Well, it has been an extraordinary 12 months, and your book, the book you co-wrote with your sister, has been a really interesting peek behind the scenes. Dr. Henry, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Coming up, the pandemic has taken so much away from so many.
I'm an adult that has a master's degree that is jobless.
Next, meet people who, despite the loss, are giving back. 3 inspiring stories of change after this. But first, as we go to break, March 14th is considered Pi Day, 3.14, et cetera, et cetera. But once you say pie, everyone thinks about something else, at least I do. Here's a tasty little tale of success during hard times.
3 words to describe the last year: pandemonium, reward, and pride. My name is James Sharman, co-owner of Sharman's Proper Pies. About this time last year, we were panicking as the pandemic hit, trying to finish our first street front, and we just managed that. And then we had to really pivot, of course, with the lockdown. Here we are now with our second location, and it's just surreal. We didn't expect to open a second location during the pandemic, so that's just a testament to the support of the community.
We're officially open! We were just saying as we were walking along, you can see all of the storefronts like shuttering, and it's so heartbreaking, so it's really nice to see a business being able to actually expand and grow.
The hardest part of the past year, I think, has been just that great unknown. No one knew what was happening, what was around the corner. And I mean, we were fortunate in that we were serving food, so we were an essential service. We looked down the street, people we knew with stores, with gyms, with salons, and they had no clue, and they were shut down. And that breaks my heart, it really does. I think overall, we're happy, but we're not arrogant enough to think that we've made it just yet. I look forward to, continuing growing this business, and who knows what's next for us.
Kaytranada pulled off a double win at the Grammy Awards today. The Montreal DJ and producer won Best Dance Recording for this song, 10%, and Best Dance Electronic Album.
This is insane. I'm taking this one back to Montreal. Yo, thank my family. Thank everybody. Peace, peace, peace.
The pre-show included performances by Canadians Lido Pimienta and Rufus Wainwright. The main ceremony kicked off on an outdoor stage for a few guests, with the Grammys' usual home, the Staples Center, as a backdrop, and a performance by Harry Styles.
Watermelon sugar high, watermelon sugar high, watermelon sugar high.
Among the early winners, Justin Bieber and Beyoncé, along with her daughter Blue Ivy. Notably absent from this year's nominations, The Weeknd. The Canadian artist says he'll boycott future Grammys after his latest best-selling album received no nominations. This pandemic year has drastically changed life for many musicians, including the famed cellist Yo-Yo Ma. He went from playing large audiences to posting solos to social media. But this weekend, a year after his posting the first of those songs of comfort, he played to a live audience again. A room of people who, like himself, were waiting out a brief observation period after receiving their COVID vaccine. The pandemic hasn't just put lives on hold, it has changed them, meaning new anxieties, lost jobs, and broken businesses. But Nick Purdon found stories of something else as well, new perspectives, new connections, examples of how the pandemic brought not just isolation, but transformation.
COVID hits, I have to lay off almost 60 people and look them in the eye and tell them that they don't have a job anymore, and then was laid off myself shortly after.
Ariane Persad says she still feels guilty that she had to lay those people off. A year later, she spends her time trying to help others. One of the things she does is take care of these outdoor community fridges where people who need food can get it. When COVID first hit, Ariane had been working as a manager in restaurants for almost a decade.
So I lost my job, and my partner also lost his job. So we had to move, and now we live in our family's basement and are both still unemployed. It's bad. I'm an adult that has a master's degree that is jobless, that keeps, I apply for jobs every week for things that I don't really want to do.
Ariane says COVID has taught her just how much is wrong with the job she used to do.
My personal experience working in restaurants is if you're sick, you go to work sick. It's kind of the norm. When COVID happened and I had to lay all those people off, I definitely had worked sick a bunch of times, you know, and I'm ashamed of that.
Ariane is trying to help anyone who is suffering because of the pandemic. She's organized laid-off restaurant workers to prepare meals to stock these fridges. She's created a relief fund to help those workers buy food and pay for mental health therapy. But she says her most important goal is to change working conditions in restaurants. She's pushing for improved job security and higher pay.
COVID has exposed what's wrong with the restaurant industry, and now hopefully we can look at that and change it for the better. I hope that restaurants in the future are a place that I want to work at again.
Like Ariane, many of us have been waiting for COVID to be over to get on with our lives.
That was dishwasher, right?
Yeah, this is I want to introduce you to two people who didn't wait for the pandemic to end to start something new.
When COVID started, I was really worried about not seeing Ryan because of the lockdown, and our parents were starting to talk about how, because of the restrictions, we wouldn't be allowed to see each other anymore.
Samantha White and Ryan Taub's story is about love in the time of COVID. How two high schoolers made sure they could still be together during lockdown.
Oh, these colors are pretty.
Oh, that looks really good.
I like it.
Samantha means everything to me. Our relationship is like the most important thing to me, and basically part of my family. I'm sorry, that's very cringy.
I don't hear that. Oh, it's the gray. Yeah. The main reason we started the business was to spend more time with each other, and it ended up with him moving into my basement and sleeping here every night for the past month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So our company, Sweet Sweets, is an interactive chocolate experience for customers, and it's all customizable. They let us know what they want, what colors, what style, what words they want on top of it, and then we make it for them.
When we started the business, we just expected it to be like friends buying it, family members buying it, friends of our family buying it.
And then when we started getting messages from people in Northwest Territories and New York, it was like, oh my goodness, like people are actually seeing our stuff and people actually like it.
Yeah, you do.
Sammy says the business didn't just keep them together, it brought them closer. And it changed her too.
After being in a year of lockdown, I've definitely learned a lot about myself. I think I'm a lot more responsible now. I think I don't care as much about what people think about me. Like before, when I was in school, I couldn't even get up in front of my class to do a speech. I was so scared of what people would think, but now I think I've really come out of my shell and learned who I am and what I love to do. I want to continue the business. A lot of people are asking us, they're like, oh, is this just a COVID business? And I'm like, no, I want to do this. This is what I like to do. I want to keep this business, grow it big, worldwide maybe. And it's cute because it's like Valentine's Day, but it's not really Valentine's Day.
Sammy and Ryan have figured out how to stay together. But for lots of us, the pandemic has torn everything we know apart and pushed us to the edge.
I was never a runner. Like, I'm the kind of person, like, I would not run for the bus or the streetcar at all, because I was like, I don't run.
A year ago, Stephanie Purificati had a busy life working as a live music manager.
And then COVID hits and everything just came to a grinding halt, especially for me in my life and my industry. As the days wore on and the working from my couch wore on, you know, I could feel myself like I was just I wasn't feeling great anymore. And that's when I realized, like, I need to do something for myself or else I'm going to let myself sort of fall into this pit of despair that I've been trying to avoid the entire time.
What Stephanie did was find the will to get up from the couch and dig out her running shoes.
7 o'clock one morning, I just laced up my ratty old running shoes and went to the elementary school across the street from my house and just started running around the track. And I was trying to do it early enough in the morning so that I wouldn't see anyone because I didn't want anyone to judge me because I had no idea what I was doing.
It wasn't easy, but Stephanie kept at it with just her running app to keep her company.
All right, here we go. Ready for that next run.
It was kind of brutal. Like the app that I'm using, it's like a 6-week program. There's like a little voice in your head telling you what to do. And
all right, you ready for this? I know you are.
Okay, so now we're gonna do 90 seconds of running and 30 seconds of walking. And I was like, that's what you think. We are not doing that. It was really rough, but I did it.
Stephanie says she felt better almost right away. And today she sees herself differently.
I am a runner. I would not have started this if it wasn't for this pandemic, I don't think. There's been a lot of negative happening this year, and this is one big shining light for me. This has definitely shown me that I can take that attitude that I took when I started running and apply it to other things that I'm going to want to do down the road.
A new perspective on the job she loves, a lockdown love story, a new sense of accomplishment. When the pandemic began, none of us could have predicted what we would do and what we would learn to get through it. Nick Purdon, CBC News, Toronto.
And these are not the only Canadians making an impact. Thousands have stepped up.
I want to thank Joe Thuntingale from Coconut Lagoon Restaurant.
All the doctors and nurses.
Thank all the hardworking Canadian farmers.
Many of you are saying thank you to frontline workers, sharing their heartfelt messages of gratitude with us. That's next. Early in the pandemic, this is how many of us were paying tribute to frontline workers. That noisy nightly tribute out windows, on balconies, and front porches across Canada. Now, a year later, Canadians have much more to say to the frontline workers. Last week, we asked you, our viewers, for your messages of gratitude, and did you deliver? Your messages are our moment.
Bonjour, Marie-Josée Leblanc from Ottawa.
My name is DJ Kaytranada from Niagara, Ontario.
My name is Alexis. I'm from Imperial Seed here in Winnipeg.
Hi, I'm Jim Watson, Mayor of the City of Ottawa.
I'd like to thank all the doctors and nurses.
I would like to thank all the hardworking Canadian farmers.
I would like to thank my sister Megan Butt, who is a registered nurse in Newfoundland. Her strength and resilience amazes everyone around her every single day.
I want to thank Joe Thuntingale from Coconut Lagoon Restaurant. Despite the fact that his restaurant burnt down during the pandemic, he and others put together literally hundreds of meals every week for the less fortunate in our community.
One remains constant with me, and that is the gratitude for healthcare workers, and especially first responders.
Boy, 1 year ago this weekend, so much was changing, and then on the Monday, so much more would change. It was great having those messages. And on Thursday, I'll probably put a call out on Twitter for some more messages on a different topic that we'll have on the National on Friday night. But that is the program for this Sunday night, March the 14th. Good night.